Welcome to the Near Memo, a weekly conversation about search, social, and commerce. What happened, why it matters, and the implications for local. Hello again, everybody. Welcome to the Near Memo with David, Mike, and Greg, where we talk about all things local. And today we've got kind of an all Google local SEO session, inspired in part by some of the recent user testing and research that we've done. Mike is going to be talking about sort of surprising levels of finder engagement, and David is going to be discussing local link building, and I'm going to be talking about some general SEO advice that Google is giving where you should ignore ranking signals, which is an impossible thing to do. So with that, Mike, let's get into it straight away.
Sure. So there's always been this question in local SEO of whether people go into the local finder or not. And I always assumed they just made their decision from the pack or from the high ranking organic. When we did this research with lawyers on the desktop, we saw actually a surprisingly high level of organic engagement, a little bit lower engagement with local, although even there we saw people click through to the finder. But in the medical research we just finished, we saw a surprising amount of engagement with the finder. I think of all the first click-throughs that we saw amongst users, 55% clicked into the finder, maybe 6% chose from the 3-pack, and the balance, which is what 40%, chose from organic. And not only did the bulk of users choose to go into the local finder, but many of them chose deeper results. I mean, particularly on mobile, but both on mobile and desktop, users scrolled a lot. And so the long tail is, as David said, very thick. 36.2% of all users made a selection beyond choice 3. So being top 1, 2, or 3, because you got 6% in the initial run and then some when people went into the finder, still 52% of the clicks occurred to the top 3 listings. But the long tail is much, much longer than I would have anticipated, going all the way down to 14, 15, 16, and beyond. I mean, people didn't stop. And so it was just shocking to me. And it just means there's a lot more opportunity than we thought in there.
If you want to see the slides that Mike is referring to, you have to tune in for local SEO, to our session at Local SEO for Good, which can also be watched on demand if you miss the real time.
I will include this slide in our podcast post in the show notes. Yes, that's right. So it just shows there's a lot. Now, interestingly, too, that one other interesting thing is that in law, Google, when you click through the local finder, Google shows images of lawyers primarily. But when you click through on the medical finder, you typically are seeing either location images or interior images as opposed to practitioner images, which I also thought was an interesting sort of shift in what Google thinks users are looking for in that. And it indicates to me that Google thinks more of these medical queries are navigationally driven than perhaps choice driven in terms of which practitioner. But I'm sorry, you were going to say something.
We didn't explicitly track this, but I recall seeing fewer images in medical generally in that finder results than in legal. So I don't know. Can't really explain that because photos were
a lot of doctors don't have pictures.
Even more important.
They're definitely more important in medical than legal, and just a lot of doctors don't have their images up. Don't have photos.
I saw a lot of missing images in the medical field, like unoptimized, which implied to me that just a few images in medical would go a long way towards both 3 types: staff and practitioners showing some amount of diversity, people that look like the searchers, interior shots showing that your facility is clean and friendly, and exterior shots showing how people can get there. And those 3 shots seem to be the kinds that people were both looking for and Google was delivering. If you don't deliver an exterior shot, Google typically will default to Street View, even if you have other shots, which is often an unflattering view of your business. So it's really incumbent in medical, if you're in it, to put some photos up there.
One of the reasons why people were so engaged with the Finder, especially in the medical research, medical category, is because people were looking for doctors with reviews. They were scrolling and scrolling and scrolling to find doctors that had a sufficient number of reviews and ratings that sort of crossed their mental threshold of what they wanted to see, which was very, very, very high. So they were going deeper and deeper and deeper to find those doctors that they thought were better. A lot of doctors didn't have reviews or had very few reviews, and that was one of the explanations for that behavior.
And the other was a number of people anecdotally said, gee, that's too far away from me, or I really want somebody. Although it was clear to me that they didn't see a choice of doctor as a lifelong decision. It struck me that people felt, they didn't express this, but I just got the sense that people thought they could get out of this if it didn't work out. Sort of, it wasn't a one in a lifetime kind of decision, which maybe law issue was. Maybe that explains some of the behavioral differences too. I don't know. But so moral of the story is, if you're not 1, 2, or 3, don't give up. You're going to get your fair share of clicks. Still need to optimize your local listing. And if you're in medical, a few pictures go a long way. And not only do you need reviews, but you need a lot of reviews and excellent ones. The threshold was surprisingly high that people used. It was 4.8, 4.9, and up.
There's not many places to go beyond 4.9.
There's only one.
Yeah.
But.
Well, and then the paradox is if you get to 5 and you only have 5-star reviews, people think you're scamming them.
All right.
Thanks for joining David, Mike, and Greg. To stay on top of the latest developments in local, subscribe to our newsletter at nearmedia.co. We'll see you next week.